Friends 2.
What's going on, guys?
Chilling.
Chilling.
So, just trying to do a podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Big keyword trying.
Looky, looky. We got guests in the room.
Right on. What's up, Billy? How's it going?
Going good. You can hear me, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that I didn't have this Zoom version or whatever downloaded. So I'm like, oh no, hurry up and download. Looks like we're all good. Cool.
Not a problem. We'll do a quick introduction round for you. I am John. I'm in Topeka, Kansas.
How's it going?
I am Randy. I'm in Oklahoma City.
Well, we're spread out all over the place.
I'm actually his son, Ashton. I'm also from Oklahoma City.
Oh, nice.
And I am John's adopted son. I am also from Topeka, Kansas. I am Jamie.
Well, how's everybody doing?
Doing well. How are you doing out there?
Doing good. Yeah, I actually have a day job still, so just getting off that right now. Yeah, the Creeps money is just not paying the bills at this point. So,
Right. Well, you guys have been inactive for quite a while, yeah?
yeah, last show was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And hasn't been there had been a few things behind the scenes going on early during that 9 years off, but for the most part, yeah, nothing. I mean, I've gone on and done other bands and everything, but as far as Creeps, we haven't done anything in those for the most part of those 9 years.
And now you
Welcome
guys are
back.
prepping to do a show in December at the Whiskey.
Oh yes, pretty excited myself about that. I think
gonna
I'm
be
the
an
band's
awesome
biggest fan, so
Because the whiskey's iconic and everybody knows the whiskey, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody knows the
I
whiskey.
can't think of anybody that does not know what the Whiskey A Go-Go is on the Sunset Strip.
right. And lucky for us, coming from this area, it's kind of one of our home clubs. Well, now, the scene's changed out there pretty much. A lot of the clubs have closed. So, when we talked about getting a show together and thought, well, we clearly wanted it to be the whiskey, but, we've been gone 9 years. Is anybody going to care as far as, giving us a night, especially, we were lucky to get a Saturday night.
Yeah.
But thinking, is anybody going to care? We're just assuming, well, sure, they'll know the name and everything like that. But yeah, it went pretty smooth. Jake's the booker over there at the Whiskey. And, if you look at the shows that they have there, it's really good right now. It's a really good time for bands like us to be there. So
That's amazing.
That
That's
sounds like an awesome setup.
hell yeah. And that's going to be December 17th.
yes, it's
Awesome.
yeah, we were a little weary because we just booked it as soon as you saw the postings. So it hasn't been booked that long. And we were given that weekend and we're thinking, okay, it's exactly 1 week before Christmas Eve. So it's right on that line, So is anybody going to be in town? Personally, well, they probably won't leave until a few days after that. But yeah, everything worked out good. I actually kind of put some feelers out there with our really close fans, and they were all excited. I got no negative feedback like, oh man, I'm going to be out of town that week. That's what I was kind of worried about. But right away, and these are like hardcore fans, people that we actually know now because they would be at all the shows and really into us. And yeah, so as soon as I contacted them, they were like, oh my God, am I dreaming? Is this real? So it started right away. It started having a good vibe to it. So, and and I'm not sure if you're familiar with all the other bands on there, but Foxy Rocks has also come back and done a few shows already. And I was at some of those shows. I might have actually been at both if they only did the two. And one of them was at the Zeros reunion, which is another big band out here, was the Zeros.
Mm-hmm.
And those shows were just amazing. The crowd was amazing. So it's almost like the timing and everything just kind of fit in there perfect. So it's really exciting, the kind of feedback we're getting from everybody, from the fans and all that.
Is that what just gave you guys a boost to say, let's try to do another show now?
No, not really. I think because there's not a lot of us involved in the Creeps day-to-day stuff. It's basically me, Macy, and our manager. And they do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, even without me, just so it was already being a little bit discussed before we really thought that the scene might be picking up. But I guess the whole vibe of everything, where I don't think we'll ever be out of COVID, but we're kind of, it's especially being out here in LA. There are so many shows out here right now. I mean, the scene is as strong as it's ever been at the Whiskey. I mean, Striper just played 2 nights there. Um, I think in everybody's circle, it just felt good. I'm just a big Zeros fan, so even when they did their reunion, I was on top of that right away. Like, in fact, my other band, Molly Vamp, we opened on that show because I was so excited about them getting back together. Because clearly, if you're familiar with the Creeps, you can see there's a lot of similarities in the two bands. I mean, obviously, the Zeros were a big influence on us. And as me personally, Danny Dangerous, of course, is a huge influence. He's, in my opinion, probably one of the best, if not the best, stage performers that came out of Hollywood. So, yeah, it just seemed like the timing was right. But I think seeing how the reaction was to those bands and those reunions. In fact, I went to Faster Pussycat a few weeks ago, and the place was packed. I mean, I don't know if it was technically sold out, but we couldn't even walk in the stairs. And anybody familiar with that, like once it gets packed, it's almost impossible to move. It's just, I don't know if any of you have been to the Whiskey, but yeah, I think the
No.
capacity is like 500, and I'm guessing these
Outside.
were like 600.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean the Whiskey's a great place. It is like you said iconic, but it's right now the strong place for people that are into either the '80s bands. He books a lot of novelty acts there. You'll have like Leif Garrett there one week, and maybe
Nice.
in the past I've seen like Molly Ringwald and stuff like that. So yeah, Evil. Yeah. See, that's one of our fans, our good fans there that already got a table there ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They are all over the music scene. And Aaron and Evil, they're awesome.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing that I like that. Yeah, that's right. It's her birthday party. I won't even go into all the other stuff that she explained that the obstacles that they've had to get through for this show, but to hear people that are that excited about it, it's like you're like, okay, this is really good. There's others too that I don't know if they're on here, but I do get to know them. Some of them I've run into at concerts. I mean, obviously, they go to a lot of concerts, so I run into them. I think it was like either Hair Nation festivals, stuff like that. I'll run into. So getting to know the people through the band and then becoming, pretty much friends with them. So it's really cool like that to see those people out there. And when you post things out there, you see their reactions, and you're like, okay, maybe 9 years we weren't forgotten. In those 9 years, there's still people who are like, well, because the big thing out here, like I said, there's a lot of shows going on out here. And it's hard to compete. In some of my other bands, whether they do covers or whatever, you throw a flyer out there for a show, and then the next thing you know, there's a show going on in the next town or something, like or a festival. Like
Lord.
yeah, like recently I was up in Vegas at Vamp to see well, it was a Pretty Boy Floyd show, but I went to go meet the guys from Midnight Devils because I had been communicating a little bit with them, but I never really met them recently. There was a story where I guess there was some sort of connection in the past, but like Sam was in an opening band when the Creeps played in Nebraska. And I do remember there being like more of a punk kind of band. So Sam was actually in that band when we played out there. So that was cool to hear. But yeah, we went out there, and I guess even though it had a good crowd there, there was competing shows going on in town. I think there was a Great White with I don't remember who the other band was. Like I think Steve Riley's LA Guns or something. And so so you do put shows out there, and you're like, okay, there's a lot of competition out here in LA right now. But like I said, the feedback's been good so far. So I think we'll have more than 20 people in there at least. I mean, we got six bands already on the bill. So you figure if there's at least 3 minimum, so we'll have at least 50 to 100 people there. But
Heck yeah. Not bad for a comeback. Not bad for a comeback.
yeah, and I mean the fact that we weren't the national band, I mean everything that we've done, we had the cover up that was put out by Cleopatra, but for the most part, it's all been internal. I mean, everything this band has done, even before my days, has always been from the band. They've done everything themselves. And I think even the MySpace years before I was in the band, I would see, because I knew Tracy probably 10, 15 years before I joined the band. And to seeing the reaction, on MySpace, when you would watch the local bands, they would rank them and stuff like that, used on, I think, plays for songs and likes on stuff like that. And they were always at the top. So, it's just a lot of hard work and getting your name out there. When you have, the look we have, it's a little bit easier for people to remember when you put that look out there. Like, I don't know, people can agree with me that, even before I was in there, Tracy would be out there in public doing things like the Battle for Ozfest. It would be Tracy and Eddie out there in full makeup. And people remembered that, they're like, oh, there's those guys in the pink hair. And then eventually you start realizing, oh, that's those Peppermint Creeps guys. So it helps. But I'll say the makeup also hurts, because now that as you can see, I promote, I don't know if you can see my hat, but I know you're not supposed to wear your own t-shirts, but I'm going to wear my own hat. But, and I'll wear it out in public. I want to get the hype out there again. And people will recognize the band and they'll be talking to me, but they don't realize that I'm in the band, because they don't know the face. And I'm like, on one hand, it kind of sucks. I kind of wish they would say, oh, I love you guys. But they're like, oh, I love those guys. What are they doing? Or now they'll say, oh, don't they have a show coming up? And I'm like, how? Yeah, we do. So it's a little crazy.
So this show coming up, do you feel like this might be something to springboard you guys back into action, like on a more regular basis?
I mean, I hope so, but I don't think we're going into it with any plans. I think it's, I mean, the vibe within the band is really good right now. I mean, we've hung out all along and we've always got along. I think it's just, like I said, it seems like in the air there's something. Everything just seems right now. Like when we're at rehearsals and everything, everybody's happy. We're having a good time. So, and with the feedback we've gotten, everything's just so positive that, I mean, I don't want to say no, but I don't think we've really discussed it. Like, okay, well, if this does good, we're going to book another show and all that. But from my past and other bands, I do notice like sometimes when things go really good, I was in Stars from Mars, over the last 3 years. They were another band that was in Hollywood a little bit earlier. And we had gotten together for every year there's a reunion for Blackboard Jungle at the Viper Room. And since Stars from Mars had been part of that scene, they got the opportunity to play one of the reunions in 2019. So I had connected with them and got in the band because I had played in other bands with Stacy Starr, who was also in the Zeros, and he was from Stars from Mars. So anyways, I got to play bass for that. And I think the initial thing was we're just going to do this one reunion just to kind of get that out of the system. But it was so amazing that next thing you know, it was a second show, a third show, and then the last one we did was, I think, the Kick show recently at the Whiskey, like maybe at the beginning of the year, I think it was. But so yeah, we don't have any plans. It's not like, okay, what are we going to do? But like I said, everything's going good right now. Hopefully the vibe will be, that was really fun. Because you always have to worry, like it could be fun, everybody's missed us. And then you get the kiss during maybe even the Creatures, where the album was good, but they had come back with the makeup, or not the makeup, I'm sorry, they still had the makeup at that point, but they'd come back from the kind of the disco curse that hit them with their hardcore fans.
Right.
People had already moved on. So here, people like me were like, oh my gosh, they're doing the real Kiss again on the Creatures tour. And out here in LA, they did the show out here, but then you read or hear in interviews that they had to cancel a lot of the tour because people moved on, and then they did the reunion, and a couple years later, the fans dropped off again. So you do got to be careful. This is great. Everybody's missed it. We get out there, and then we don't want to get too much like, oh my God, see, we can do that. We can sell this many tickets or whatever. And then we start playing shows. Next thing you know, we're getting bar shows again. And we like to do, I mean, it's not Kiss giant stage shows, but we like to, decorate the stage and put a little bit of a show on. So you don't want to be doing it in bars. Some of my other bands, we fit in the bars. It works in the bars. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes. I know there's a lot of people, the touring thing, that's a whole other issue, because I understand there's a lot of people out there. We actually have a friend who's flying in from Australia for the show. He was a fan at first. I met him. He used to come out here. I guess when you're in other countries, it's a little different to look at, well, I'm going to go to, the US for shows, because as much as I would love to, I don't know if I'll ever make it to like Australia or Japan or see a show. And it might also be because we get all those bands, like you have a band like Pretty Boy Floyd, they play here all the time. Mm-hmm. So people in the other part of the world, they might not get to see them as much as we do. So I guess that's kind of the difference. But yeah, he's coming out here for the show from Australia. I appreciate it much, Mark, if you're out there.
That's really exciting. I was kind of wondering what the pulse in Los Angeles was right now on the music scene. And that's inspiring. At least it's coming back, it's bouncing back, and people are going out to the shows. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it will never be like the 80s, a lot of reasons. We're all older and
Yeah.
have responsibilities. But like I said, the whiskey, the kind of shows there, the kind of crowd that goes to that, people like Evil and stuff like that. It's like, I think we would all agree that it's a pretty good scene going on right now. There's a lot of shows. We could go up to Vegas and get some good shows. We go to LA. Definitely living in the LA area. I just saw Judas Priest the other night.
Yeah.
I can't even go to all the concerts I want. I'm just like, oh, this band's coming. Wait, I can't afford to go to that, or I don't have time for that, or
Right.
it's some conflicting night. But right now, it's really strong. Probably as strong as it's been in a long time. I mean, let's see what that says. Oh, yeah, questions. I mean, I'll take any questions. I don't know if I'll have much of an answer for some of them if people try to dig too deep into my brain.
Right. It's just like, yep, and nope.
Yeah. I mean, I try to be open and answer things, but obviously there's probably some things I'm not going to give our set list away, stuff like that. We're
Right.
old
You
school.
even got me excited for that show. You seem excited, and especially after you said it was 9 years you guys haven't played anything and you're coming back at the whiskey. That sounds like a dream come true, honestly.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because I was a big fan of the band before I joined, so I mean, to be part of it's another thing. And then, the reality is after the last show in 2013, and that was at the whiskey as well. Yeah, it was just we never broke up or anything like that. That was the fifth year. I mean, I don't know how much of the history of the band, but the founding member and drummer Tracy had passed away in 2008. So things were different anyways. And I think that was like the fifth anniversary of his passing for that last show. And I think after that, we didn't even discuss it. I think we felt wrapped up. That was kind of a wrap. There was no discussion about it. We just didn't book any more shows. We were doing an annual show, the Key Club that used to be out here. We started doing them there because Tracy had booked shows there every year. So they let us do things there, and then the whiskey. Yeah, it felt kind of not full closure, but kind of like, okay, now, we do have to go on with our lives and see where it goes. And it's just the times right now, it feels so. And the show now, I don't know how much time, if I get completely cut off at 7:30, as you see, I love to talk. Once you start talking.
No, we love it. We love it.
When we start talking about
Makes it
music, I'm
easier.
loose. I'm never going to stop and shut up until you cut me off.
Right.
But I do want to talk about the show because as excited as I am about it, I don't know how much you can see in my thing, and I don't know if he's listening or watching, but I'm wearing my Foxy Rock shirt.
Hey.
That's
I appreciate that, Davey. Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'd like to go into that. Like, we have Foxy Rocks playing, and like I said, they've been doing a few shows. I knew them a little bit. We used to play Glitter and Glam shows, which was done by Tim Yasui from Spiders and Snakes. He did them at the Coconut Teaser out here can't remember if it was once a month or whatever, but they were on Sundays. They had hot dogs on the patio and all that. And he would get good bands. When Lizzie Borden was doing Diamond Dogs, they would play. Spiders and Snakes had Lizzie Gray. So, I mean, that already was a big deal to me. And I loved Spiders and Snakes. But anyways, so I knew Foxy Rocks a little bit because I was just getting into the scene in a metal band that I had been in from like the San Bernardino area.
Mhm.
And I met Timmy through a mutual friend, the guys from Rebel Rebel, who I'm friends with. So we got on the Glitter and Glam, and I think because Tony from Foxy Rocks would have to drive from like San Diego or whatever, they would always get there like early. So they were like the only people watching my band because we weren't known in the scene yet, so nobody was coming to see us yet. So I got to know Tony a little bit, and then now Davey's like the newer member from the band in the new version, and they're really good. I mean, I love the stage shows. I love the flashy lights and everything. And if you haven't seen Foxy Rocks, I mean, I know I posted a video on my page. I'm sure they have videos all over my MySpace.
MySpace.
The good old days.
So I don't have an exact answer for that yet. We are looking into that and working on it and hoping to, Evil. So I just don't want to promise anything. Again, 9 years, not only has it been 9 years since we played, but we're kind of, at least me personally, as far as technology and a lot of stuff like that, we're kind of, catching up, because during that 9 years, we really weren't doing any of that stuff. and most of the merch over the time had kind of, thinned out and went away. So, we would like to have some, and hopefully we can get some there. I just don't want to make any promises. Because we've never been about just doing things the cheap way. So, if we can get it and try to make it a full show for everybody. We know people have been, messaging us for shirts and CDs for a long time. Just unfortunately, most of that stuff's either gone or it's just, some stuff might be packed away so far, where we have to find it. And I even had, once we talked about the show, I had to dig out my old clothes, and because they've been sitting for 9 years, and rockers, we don't take care of our clothes. That all my clothes were disintegrating. I mean, literally, because the ones that have vinyl on the outer part, the vinyl was all like ripping off the outside, and I had to almost buy all new clothes because I don't even care about the smell. You just throw Febreze over it. But literally, my boots and everything from the 9 years ago show were no good anymore. But Oh, so anyway, going back to the band. So yeah, so Foxy Rocks, we got them on board. That was something right away. As soon as we started talking to show, I had been talking to Davey, and they had been already talking about doing, some things out there. Trust me, I definitely know you two guys. So, when we do discuss things like that, and we're thinking of who the fans could be and all that, we have all that in our mind, So, like I said, they're very loyal fans to us. So yeah, besides Foxy Rock, so we also have another band that we used to play back in the day, Scarlet Rose. Um, they're getting back. It's the two guitar players are getting back, and they're going to be doing a Scarlet Rose set. So we're excited about that. That was one of the younger bands. We're all the old guys now. So, but Scarlet Rose was one of the younger bands. So we loved. That was a good thing about being with the Creeps. We had a lot of young bands that we could do shows with. So we felt even if they weren't getting like recording contracts or whatever, we felt there was a lot of bands like Robbie from the Peppermint Creeps came from a band called Black from West Covina. And I had seen them before he was in the Creeps when I was in a band called Revlon Red. And when I saw Black, they were these guys that probably in their teens and early 20s, and they had like the killer hair and they just looked good. Like they didn't look cheesy, like they were trying to pretend to be something they weren't. So I had contacted them. This was pre-internet, at least the way it is now.
Mhm.
And I contacted like email or something. And apparently I had done a show with them. It was a long all day event, so I didn't remember. I probably wasn't even there when they played. But, and then of course, they were so cool and in the scene and all that, Robbie ended up joining the Peppermint Creeps. And then when I came into the Peppermint Creeps, he had come back from being gone for a while. And that didn't last very long, but it was good to play with him because I always liked Robbie. But anyway, so Scarlet Rose will be on there. They're not quite as makeup-y and glammy as us and Foxy Rocks, but they're very good, kind of that, I guess people call like the sleazy kind of rock and roll stuff.
Cool.
So they were a band that we loved playing with back in the day. Then we have Black Star Sinners is a band that I don't know if you guys know Rich Biggs. It seems like everybody I know in the whole world knows him. So, he's really friendly, awesome guy. And then Ash, who was also in the scene back in those days. So we got them on. My band Molly Vamp that I do, I don't want to say on the side because it's probably the band that I do the most in. But we've been playing shows with them recently, so it's good to get them on board because I dig their stuff too. And then If I Fall is another band from out this area that we've been doing a lot of shows with too. Same thing, they're a three-piece, just really good rock and roll band. And I know we're still trying to fill another slot. I'm working on that right now, but we also, a thing that a lot of people might not know or they're seeing the post that I'm excited about, and I'm hoping the few people out there listening that everybody will try as hard as they can to show up at 6 o'clock. The first band that we have starting it is a band out of oh my gosh, I'm going blank. I had this all memorized and everything. Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's a three-piece punk band
Cool.
called Oil Change. It will Oil Change, but it's Oi and then the L change. And their drummer is Brittany, who is actually Tracy Michael's daughter. So she's on drums. It's going to be her first time playing the whiskey. So it's almost the next generation is going on to, to get to do something at the whiskey. And I'm really excited about that. At first, I love punk music anyways, and I really love their band. They're good. But they are playing the first slot, I think around 6:15 or something like that. And I'm going to really start promoting it as it gets closer to get the people out there because Brittany's really awesome. And her band's really good. And I think, a lot of people in California tend to get places really late. Well, unfortunately, she won't be on his kit for that show, but yeah, she has his famous glitter kit as well that she uses when they play shows. So that's even awesome. Like she even talks about like she can feel her dad coming through. He's because she just learned drums for the band because her husband is the guitar player in the band. So she just learned drums so she could play in a band with them. So it's that thing that she doesn't know why or how, but her dad's coming through her. And so that's gonna be really good to see her up on the whiskey stage playing. So I think that's something I'm really excited about. I just really hope being California that we can get people to come out early, then come out and talk. She's very friendly with people, and from everything I could tell, she really doesn't mind talking about her dad. I guess to see how many people out here love her dad, and just I think that makes her feel good and happy, and she loves to talk to people about that. So anybody that sees this or just on Facebook, I really hope people can make it out there to see them because they're really, really cool band. So that's kind of what the show stands as far as the lineup. It's going to be a great lineup the whole night. I mean, we're all friends pretty much from one area or another that we've known. So it's really going to be a whole night of just killer people. All right, here we go.
Right.
Like I said,
I love how you plugged in a little bit of every single band, but I say most importantly, do you mind if we check out a little bit of what you guys sound like so everyone knows?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Now, I wasn't in the band the whole time, so I don't know what you're going to play, but
Well,
That's up to Mr. Randy.
I've got two queued up.
Sweet.
We've got Fuck Off and Die and Hero,
oh, are you just doing the song or the video?
the video.
Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm in both videos, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do short little clips because people like copyright striking us.
Oh, yeah, I actually watched some of your guys' interviews, and I remember you talking about that.
All right, here we go. This is Fuck Off and Die. Let's see here.
I gave my heart, I gave my trust, I even got down on my knees. I gave my keys, I gave you all I ever had, I gave you everything.
Wait a minute.
But guess what, bitch? I never really loved you, you're not very nice, and I don't think I like you. You're not very nice, cause you made me cry. You're not very nice, and I don't wanna see you, so why don't you just fuck off and die, fuck off and die?
I don't know why that's not playing the video part of it. Here we go.
Not you. You're too blind to see that I'm just having fun. I live the way I want to. I don't want to be your hero. I'm nothing but a zero, and I don't want to change. I don't want to be your hero. I'm nothing but a zero, and that's the way I'll stay. You hate my hair and makeup. You think that I should wake up, but I'm just living out my fantasy.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, the hero video, and we also released the Motley Crue cover, Danger. We did two covers. I always forget which
Oh,
one we did the video
sweet.
for. So those, and if you go on YouTube and read the information, those were actually recorded a long time ago, like before we stopped playing. We had done a bunch of videos. Even the Our Lips Are Sealed that we released back in the day, those were all shot, like we did a whole bunch of them. And again, we're, things, I don't want to say the machine is rolling again, but I mean, the vibe, just to feel everything. So a lot of that stuff is now coming out. I don't know if there's, other stuff that will be coming out or not, but those are things we had shot. And then, like I said, when we kind of just put things on the side in 2013, some stuff was left kind of not released yet. So we got two videos out. And so, I was even glad when I get those. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm the one kind of posting everything online. I'm the social media guy of the band, I guess.
Have one.
Before we get too far, I do want to make sure I thank Bob Long for linking us up to make this happen tonight too as well. So Bob, I know you were watching earlier. If you still are, thank you very much.
Oh yeah, Bob's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, for sure.
He's actually the way I found Midnight Devils and the Rumors, because that's another band that I got to play with them when they were out here recently and met them. So it was really cool because I love both of those bands. I mean, so Bob's got the know out there of who's the cool bands or whatever.
And the
Yeah, I mean,
That's good to have.
yeah, and I know he had a
too.
yeah. Well, what
Of
was
ours.
that?
The Midnight Devils are dear friends of ours as well.
Well, yeah, what was funny is so when I would meet each of them, like the rumors right away, I'm like, hey, you guys got to take a picture with me. And then I sent it to Bob. And then Midnight Devils, we didn't play with them, but I saw them in Vegas. I took a picture and sent it to Bob. And we were talking about something like, I think when I started telling people we might be doing a show, we were talking about, oh, the ultimate show would be, Peppermint Creeps, Midnight Devils, and the Rumors. And within the same day, in my feed, I know they know what we're looking at on the internet, but I sometimes wonder if they hear what we're saying.
Right.
Because I swear in the feed of my Facebook came a post from Bob Long saying, what would your dream lineup be for a concert? And it was exactly that. And I looked at it and it was actually a memory he was sharing. So he didn't post it after joking with him about that. So I just thought, wow. So I think that would be a great lineup. Unfortunately, we're all from different parts of the world. So, well, not the world, but the US.
Right.
And with what we're doing, I know both of those bands are pretty heavily touring, still. I had talked to Sam when we were in Vegas and I said, because we hadn't really booked the show yet, but we were talking about it. And I said, it would be really cool if we can get you guys on there. And I know he was mentioning that they were going to be in Europe with Enough's Enough, which is, I believe they're still out there. And when we set it up, unfortunately, I didn't get to even contact them back to see if we could work it out because once we went through the whiskey and set up a show, the slots filled up pretty quick. I mean, it wasn't even enough time to step back, which is good because I would hate for nobody to want to play with us, So I didn't even have a chance to see if it would work out with them. But I mean, if we do stuff in the future, I think it'd be awesome to play with those guys because I thought because like I said, Foxy Rocks, we had definitely. Oh, I'll have to look in that one. I was gonna say, because I'd been talking to Davey way before all this, so I thought, okay, well, if we can get the Midnight Devils on there, we got, Foxy Rocks, Peppermint Creeps, and Midnight Devils. We're all wearing face makeup. Well, at least, maybe not all three of the Midnight Devils, but I mean, they're still the same kind of band, well, even in Foxy Rocks, I guess technically Tony's the only one that really does the full like kind of white face stuff. But I thought, wow, we're three similar but different types of bands. That would be one, you get tired from that show because, usually you build up to the headliner, but I'm like, well, all three of us are kind of that build up band. Like, where do you go after that? A lot of bands will be like, well, we don't want to play after you because, you guys are like this or that, like a headliner band or whatever. But with them, it's kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously time wise, it does. If nobody wants to play at like 6 o'clock. If you don't have to. But that's the thing, like even with Foxy Rocks, at the whiskey, it's like we do want them to be able to do their whole show. So that was something, we kind of, me and Davey had talked about too, that we'll try to do everything we can. They're pretty fast at their, doing their setup and everything. Hopefully we're still pretty fast at it. We're gonna work on that.
It's been 9 years.
Well, yeah, I mean the band was around doing it for a long time, so it's not wholly like, a couple times and 9 years went by, but
right.
You just want to make sure it's smooth, especially a night like that. We're all hardworking bands, but you do get bands out there sometimes. I've played with bands on, luckily, smaller venues, but the drummers start breaking down on the stage, on the drum riser. Like, and I'm talking breaking down. They're taking cymbals off, breaking down the hardware. You're like, we got a schedule to keep it, but a lot of the smaller places, you don't have anybody doing that. You don't have that one more guys or, we played the whiskey a long time ago. I don't remember which band I was in, but before they supplied backline, they would be taking your stuff outside, and that you don't really like that, but they kept to their schedule there. They weren't going to mess around. So the stage, right when you leave the stage, is a door to the sidewalk on Sunset Boulevard. So if you're not getting it fast enough, well, they're going to get it out there fast enough for you. But they do supply a backline now, so that's not really an issue anymore. But yeah. Pretty excited. I'm sure you could tell.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, going back to the t-shirt thing, I always thought, I read Metal Sludge and stuff like that. I used to post, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Metal Sludge, but
Oh yeah.
And I used to post on there, but I could never keep up because some of those guys are good, as far as how brutal they are, but they're good at it. So I just backed off because I would be trying to be funny and then everybody just eats me alive. I remember once I posted something about Revlon Red, and I think it was actually a t-shirt topic too. That's probably why I thought about that right now. going back to that really quick, I'll wear my t-shirts. Why? Because I like wearing t-shirts of bands I like, and I like my band, you know? So that's the way I look at it. But I think, oh, I know what the topic was on Metal Sleds. They're talking about people wearing shirts that don't know the material of the band, which honestly, I don't care one way or the other. And I jokingly said, I said, I don't care why they want to wear my shirt. If somebody wants to wear my shirt, let them wear it. I don't care if they know who I am. And one person actually messaged me and said, I'll take one of your shirts. So I sent it to him. I don't even know if he liked the band. Actually, I
Dude,
think,
that's cool.
but I'm just
Get
like,
your
if I
name
had,
out there.
well, that's how I look at it. Billboards, I looked into doing advertisements and stuff like that. That stuff's expensive.
No.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So I thought if you can get somebody to wear your t-shirt, I mean, I don't know how much advertisement that would be if they go to
Right.
clubs. And there's a guy out here who's going to come to our show. He wears Peppermint Creep shirts a lot. And he went to, I don't think he's listening, but he went to Rammstein and he was wearing a Peppermint Creep shirt. I mean, that's not even the same kind of music, but at least, he gets it out there. And I mean, they are very theatrical, very stage type of band, but I'm like, hey, more power to you. I'm not going to quiz him on how many songs he knows. I like bands. I can't even tell you songs off the record, but I like just listening,
Right.
especially when it comes to punk. It's like, I like a lot of punk bands to where if you threw me on the spot there, like the Casualties or somebody like that, if they said, well, which are your 3 favorite records and what are your 3 favorite songs on each of those? I couldn't tell you.
I'm a fan, not a freak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the bands that I'm into, I could tell. Like Kiss is my favorite
Yeah.
band. And I could maybe not as much now, but I could tell you that. Like I watch Family Guy, and it bugs me to this day when if you saw the Family Guy one where they go to the Kiss concert, and Peter's debating with that other fan guy that's there, and they're saying like throwing back facts to see who's right. And one of the facts that they don't dispute is he says, well, the first guy says that Kiss was on I think he says the Jim Neighbors Halloween special or something, and then Peter corrects him, something like, "Well, no, that was 1977 on the Paul Lynde Halloween." I think he says 77 or 75. I think, he says 75, and I'm like, that's not 75. That even drove me crazy. But
I am going to say, though, the reason John has such a big smirk on his face is because his big band is Kiss too, and somehow 90% of the shows someone else just pops Kiss into the conversations. So it's just a running joke now.
And he just
someone
smirks. He is loving this.
well, I
I
mean,
even thought about putting a sound to it every time someone says Kiss, just do like an alarm or something.
well, yeah, I mean, I've been a Kiss fan my whole life. I was one of those. So I actually play in a band called Room Service. That we do Kiss covers. We do some of the stage stuff. We have like confetti cannons and all that, but we don't do the makeup, the costumes, and all that. But we have a really good singer that people are always saying, "Oh my God, he sounds just like Paul Stanley used to sound." And I don't mean that as a shot. I'm talking about like the early Paul Stanleys when he was rough. Like once it got to like Crazy Nights and all that, his voice became really like, I don't want to say professional because he's always professional, much more polished and everything like that. When you look at the first 3 albums and the concerts, because yes, as a Kiss fan, I have not all, but I have the standard bootleg concerts. It's like now with the Gooch out there. If you're a Kiss fan, you might know who the Loomis and the Gooch battle going on out there with the bootleg and stuff is. But it's funny too because there's the Sam Loomis who's been releasing rare Kiss stuff. My friend's gotten caught up in that, and it's a pretty nasty battle going on because the guy who put that Kiss Alive Forever book out and does a lot of other stuff for Kiss stuff, he apparently owns a lot of rare Kiss stuff. That I think he was the one that sold when the official I video came out a few years back. Because I didn't know there was a video for the song I, like a real true video. We were playing in front of a silly looking crowd of teenagers that you're like, would they really be at a Kiss concert? But it was on eBay for a while because it was like, this is supposed to be the only copy that ever existed. I think it might have even had the counter on it. I can't remember, but yeah. So anyway, so a guy started releasing some of that stuff that they've been holding on to and it's like the top quality of things that, we have the Kissology stuff that's a little rough on some of the quality, but the stuff these guys have is like, first generation kind of stuff where it's like the actual stuff. And but my friend got caught up in that, and it's a lot of nasty stuff going on. Like they'll put stuff up on YouTube and it's shut down right away. And But yeah, I mean, you can tell by the Creeps that there's definitely Kiss influence. In fact, when we did the cover up CD, I had just joined the band, and they were like, they made me feel right away like, okay, we're doing a covers album, because they didn't have a full record ready with the stuff that had happened that gave me the ability to join the band. There was a little bit of sloppy drama stuff going on, so they just wanted me to get in and get things going to make sure that fans didn't lose interest or think the band was crumbling or something like that. So since everybody else was doing cover records, it gave us an opportunity to do that. And right away they were like, "Oh, give us a list of songs. Give us." I think it was 3 songs, figuring each, because that's when Robbie was still in the band, so there's 4 guys. And Talk to Me is the one I picked on there. That was one of the ones I picked on there. So I got that on there. I don't know why I picked that one. I think we discussed things, and it was one that they had worked on before, and I love the Unmasked album, so I'm always good for that kind of stuff. In fact, in my Kiss cover band, I'm always joking, wanting to do things like sometimes we do Sure Know Something, so it gives me we joke about my bass solo. It's not really a bass solo, but it's an opportunity for me to go up to the front. But that era, the Dynasty and Unmasked, I love that just as much as anything else. But so I'm always pushing for those, like joking, like, "Hey, let's do Shandy" or something like that. But I mean, we really do mostly survive on doing the classic lineup, and for the most part, the first 6 records we will do. I can't believe I'm going blank on a live too. The most popular song on a live, oh my god, All American Man. We do All American Man, and then we've done we have tried doing Psycho Circus, the song. We've done War Machine and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going way over my time here.
We don't care.
But definitely you go. What I was gonna say, so when we did Cover Up and I picked Talk to Me, but I also did Sex Pistols for Bodies. That was, for some reason, I've always wanted to cover that song in any band I've been in, and they gave me the opportunity to do that. I also picked another random one, which we didn't end up putting on. There was Tony DeFranco and the DeFranco family, Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat, or whatever their real song name is. It's a teeny bopper song from the 70s. But it had a part in it where he says, it's like the Osmonds. It was kind of like a little bit lesser popular Osmonds. The smallest brother sang with the cute little girly voice. But it had a part in it where it said, something about listen to your heartbeat. And I thought that would be great for Tracy to kind of expand on, But the reality is I was excited like I am about all this band stuff. And, we talked about it later, like, well, we can do it, but have you thought about learning it? Like what's involved in it? Because it wasn't really a rock song. It was a lot of vocals, because there's a whole family singing. There was a lot of stuff going on. So the reality kicked in. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know if I know that bass line or if I can even because we wanted to get it out fast. So that's got scratched, but that's a nice little sneaky little fact. As Tracy would always call everything sneaky. So, but going back to the Kiss stuff, in fact, some of the stuff I had thought about, because it is a cover-up album, it's all covers and all that. I thought, hey, since I do the green eyeshadow kind of up, maybe I should do one of them as Gene Simmons' design, but still in green. But again, the reality of you don't want to get sued.
Right. Gene would never sue.
Especially because Cleopatra was going to be putting this out for us. We originally put a version out that was ours. It had like the little compact, because Cover Up, And then Brian at Cleopatra was like, "Oh, I'll put it out for you guys and all that." But we reshot the cover and everything and did like a kind of weird, because we did a New York Dolls photo where they're on the couch and everything, but we didn't do a New York Dolls song. So that was kind of, I love the picture though, so I'm not going to complain.
Right.
I'm always picky about my pictures. So when a cool one that I like actually comes out, I'm like, I don't care what it was for, if it made sense. I love that picture. So, but yeah, everything about me is Kiss though. I mean, that's why I think I like the Creeps, because it was Kiss, but it was like a different spin. It wasn't, I don't want to name other bands because I like all those other bands, but I felt it was enough spin to be original. Like the neon, I look at more, we have a Tim Burton influence just as much as we have, a Kiss influence, or, there's a lot of other bands that, a lot of us had punk and metal. That's why if you look at the cover up, it kind of shows you where the influences of the band. Pantera's on there. Yeah, we're a punk Kiss, or yeah, when I explain people what we're about, people who I know aren't going to really understand anyways. I'm like kind of a Neon Kiss. I don't know. Musically, yeah, musically definitely more punk than anything. When we do certain songs like "Fuck Off and Die Live" and all that, when we got a good crowd, I'm sure the people who don't want to be part of it and up in front get it, but we get a nice little mosh pits going every once in a while. There's a few songs that can get that going. But yeah, without revealing our set, we've been rehearsing and all that, and I like this set. The set's real. Not that I don't like our songs, but or any of the songs. But this set just feels so good to be coming back with. Um, I'm just like, I like the set, everything about it. But yeah, I mean, I won't be jumping like Paul Stanley in my boots though. So, I have more of the Ace Frehley, like one solid kind of bottom. I'm not how Paul Stanley does it, not only ever, but now at his age in the 70s, how he can even do
Mhm.
that without, I mean, even with the balance he can have, but like, not to be, the reality is, his bones, how they don't collapse or something with all that pressure. I mean, that's
Right.
brutal on his body. And I see them, when they come around every year. Their last show was amazing. The last tour that they came through here. And I'm just like, how that guy can even do that. I don't know. I hope I can, I just think I hope I can stand when I'm 60, let alone jumping up and down in 8-inch platforms when I'm 70.
Right.
So,
your first,
I gotta throw the boots on for rehearsals. I'm gonna start doing it now just so I can make sure that I don't get there. And one thing I definitely don't want to do with all the cameras that are out there nowadays, hint, hint, evil. I don't want to fall. There's those few videos where Gene Simmons starts stepping back and falls on his ass. So
Mhm.
I don't want the one thing that comes out of the show to be like me falling. So
so
hopefully,
your first album was the cover up, and so then In Hell would have been your first album of originals. Is
correct.
that correct? That's a great album. I spent the whole afternoon with that album. Just Another Day is a cool song. Hero is a cool song. When you talked about covers, you did She Sells Sanctuary, and I'm a huge Cult fan.
Oh, nice.
Great song. So, and your version of that song is awesome. I love the intro and your spin that you guys put on it. It's phenomenal. That whole album's good. I listened to it. I run a lot, and I ran and listened to that whole album during my run today, and it's a phenomenal album. I love it.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, whenever basically would give me the copies when we were just getting them done recording. I don't have it now, but the stereo I used to have in my old car, I love kick drum. I mean, I love when the kick drum is just punching you in the head, like, and I would listen to my car and just blast it. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Because, when you have like, maybe not double bass when it's nonstop through the song, but I love when it kind of does little stutters and stuff through the
Mhm.
song. And I did that with Cover Up as well. I would just like blast it when I get it. Because, this was the first band I've done recordings and stuff like that, but this was the first band that was kind of more like I don't want to say organized like the other ones weren't, but this one already had a game plan when I joined. Right away, photo shoots were like, it was so fast. Everything was going so fast. I'm just like, in fact, this was during the MySpace era when I joined the band, and the stuff that I told you about, the nonsense going on, that gave me the opportunity. It was on MySpace and Metal Sludge and stuff like that. So, but because I had known Tracy and I knew Macy a little bit, so when that stuff started going out and there was rumors that the band's breaking up and all that, I knew better. I knew that wasn't happening. There was just stuff that needed to be worked out. So right away, I hit both of them up. And that's when they were still doing the pink hair and everything like that. Now, I love that stuff and I love colored hair, but I'm more Mick Mars. Like, I'm the Blackie Lawless, the Mick Mars kind of guy.
Mhm.
I've been always like the dark. As much as I love that stuff, I'd be afraid now at this age to start frying my hair with bleach, but it's already fried enough. But I've always loved that stuff. So I love their look and everything. But I joined so fast and the ball was rolling so fast that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm going to look like and what I'm going to do when I get in this band. And then they're doing like, hey, we've got a photo shoot set for next week. And I'm like, what am I doing? But I really wanted it. So I wasn't going to let that bother me. If I hadn't been such a huge fan, I probably would have been like, you know what, I think I'm getting myself in too deep here. Maybe I hate flaking on people, but I might have gotten like scared and just kind of ignored their messages or whatever. But I really wanted to be in it. I had friends that were our really good friend Eric. even when I wasn't in the band, but we would go watch them at the Key Club where they could really put on their good show. And they had gotten really, they got their stuff down. I really thought, when they had the lineup of Tracy, Macy, Eddie, and Robbie, right within the year before I joined, they were really getting good, really solid. I loved watching their shows. And I would sit there with our mutual friend Eric and, just kind of like, man, I wish I could get in that band, but at the time I didn't think it would ever be something possible. And Revlon Red, we were, side by side with them. We would do shows with them. So we were all like from the same scene. So it wasn't a stretch. I just didn't know if there would ever be an opening. But that all came at the right time. It just seemed perfect. I felt I was ready now. Because Tracy was always trying to hit up people to be in bands when he was doing like Glam Vest Like Vampires and Candy Apple Queens. He had the vision of what he wanted, but he was still trying to find that. Like, so he would ask everybody, "Hey, you play music? Hey, I'm looking for a bass player. Hey, I'm looking for that." It just took a while for it to really come together. In my opinion, when him and Macy teamed up, I think was the first time. I didn't know Macy at the time, but I saw them. I think it was at the Roxy, and I just thought, wow, those two guys are good together. They're a really good team. And it just went from there. They just, worked a few things out, got that lineup. And then when that opportunity came for me, like I said, I jumped without even thinking the whole thing out. Like, what am I going to do? So when we were doing the photo shoot, we're trying to figure out how to do my hair. Because prior to that, Tracy could cut his own hair really cool. He had the greatest hair out there. And he would cut everybody in his band's hair the same way, so it was a lot of him. But then as Macy went more to the Mohawk kind of look and all that, it made sense more that we didn't all have to look the same. We could all have our individual thing. So then we're just playing around with the first pictures I have out there where I did have pink streaks and it was like really high because there's a big, massive hair clip he put there instead of just a ponytail. But it didn't take that long to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, the ball was rolling so fast, I wasn't used to that. And then because I joined the end of 2006, and then by 2008 we were going to Europe and doing a U.S. tour and everything like that. So it was nice to get to do that. We had some troubles on those tours, but getting to do that, those two CDs are out, and then we also, I don't know if you guys are aware, we also had put out instead of Greatest Hits, Greatest Misses Live CD, which they're pretty rare at this point. And there's a DVD to go with it, but it's live footage basically spanning most of the time, the whole era. Like, so there's a lot of stuff way before I was in the band. Like there's Coconut Teaser footage out there where they were just wearing whatever they could find, not so much like outfits, just a lot of polka dots and a lot of stripes. So there's footage of that. Then it's all the way up to, we did acoustic shows in 2010, I think it was, at a couple of the Hot Topic stores out here. For a while, they were doing acoustic shows for local bands in all their stores. I think the year we did two of them, because we did City Walk in Hollywood and Highland. I think that year for Halloween, they wanted every store to have an acoustic show going on that weekend. So we were able to get two of them. We did one night and then the next night. I think there's a video from there on there. So if you're able to find those, I don't have any of them. I have my one copy. And I was noticing in the background with all I guess those are CDs. And
Yeah.
I'm a big, I don't know if you got the same ones, but I get them at Hobby Lobby. So
Yeah.
you catch them on sale where it's two for the price of one kind of thing.
Damn right.
And if you watch the sales, they do them almost like it's a cycle. They do the frames and then they do another one and then they go back. So I bought tons of those t-shirt ones. So I have a wall in my house with all my Creep stuff, like the couple t-shirts that I'm part of. Yeah, I love those Hobby Lobby things. I mean, my girlfriend actually she got one when we went to the Zero show, and she has one from the Rumors show that we went to.
Oh, cool.
She's much more creative than I am. So she put like a cool background. Mine's half like yours, all the white background. But she gets really creative with her stuff. So maybe it'll inspire me eventually. But mine are on the wall now. I don't want to deal with them anymore because they're up there. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Once it's done, it's done.
So
Randy,
Jonathan.
I don't have any more notes of things that I had written down. And if anybody else didn't, maybe you'll do a little take us out song.
Yeah, sure will. Just a second here.
Just
friends too.